Welcome to Shomach Shava on the Daf. We're holding in Zevachim Daf Tzadik Gimel. The Mishnah with Beis, referring to the dam Chatas that's spilled on a beged, requires Kibbus. So it says the Mishnah has to be b'mokom kodesh. Rashi says, what's mokom kodesh? They have to do the Kibbus in the Azarah itself. The Rebbe Yehuda in Chaim Tanino Siman Kuv Chov Dalet, he brings a question from Rishaya Pik that in the Torah's Kohanim is brought down regarding Mincha. It has to be eaten b'mokom kodesh. So it says the Torah's Kohanim, mokom kodesh, maybe it means a machne levio, which means in entire Yerushalayim. The pasuk says, "Tomud loyma bechatzar oyel moyet." So it says, you see from here, the mokom kodesh alone can be the machne levio, can be the entire Yerushalayim. Mokom kodesh doesn't mean the Azarah. So how do we know that the kibbus of the begadim needs to be ba'azarah? Maybe because the pasuk says mokom kodesh, but mokom kodesh means in Yerushalayim. How do we know it has to be in the Azarah? So on the footnote over there in Rebbe Yehuda, there's a Hagah from the son of Rebbe Yehuda. The son of Rebbe Yehuda says, look at the Ramban in Chumash, in Parshat Tzav, and you'll understand why it needs to be in the Azarah. If you look at the Ramban tells us, Hichmer akasu bedam hanivla babeged la soisoy kashaya hoya koidim hazoya shelo yatsa chutz hakloim. When you have blood in the beged, it's considered to be, says the Ramban, as if there was no hazah yet, as if there was no sprinkling of the blood. And immediately it cannot go out of the Azarah. Where is dam Chatas? Where does it belong to? Dam Chatas before the Azarah belongs in the Azarah. You cannot take it out of the Beis HaMikdash. The Torah that says mokom kodesh says that when you have blood which is swallowed in the beged, the definition of it is that the blood is as if it was not sprinkled yet. That's how we treat this blood. This also answers a question of the Tosis Shonim in Yuma Daf Chof Aleph. We were speaking there about breaking the Kli Cheres. So it says that you break it and you have to leave it over there. It was swallowed there in the place. I think I was going to tell us a little later. So it says the Tosis Shonim, how do you know? Maybe after you broke it, you could take it out. Why it has to stay there? But according to the Ramban, the idea of all these kalim that receive the blood is as if there was not sprinkled there with the blood. You can't take it out of the Azarah, because we treat it as if the blood is still there. Another nekuda that connects this Ramban is the Pasha Zevachim. He has a chelik in a sefer called Derech Mitzvah, which is written in Sefer Mitzvahs. And the end of chelik aleph of that sefer, he has a question on the Ramban. The Ramban holds that whenever you have several mitzvahs that are all the same, they're all counted as one mitzvah. So when the Rambam goes ahead and he counts in the mitzvahs of the Karbonis, he counts Oylo, Chatos, Oshom, Shlomi, Mincha, each one has his own mitzvah. The Ramban says no, they're all considered to be Karbonis, so they're all going to be one mitzvah. So ask the Pashas Zevachim, what about the concept of the Kibbus that we have, that when you have the dam Chatos falling on the beged? There, why is the Ramban not counting that as a separate mitzvah? That's not part of the mitzvahs of Karbonis. How is that connected to the mitzvahs of Karbonis? So ask the Pashas Zevachim, the Ramban, I understand the Ramban puts together mitzvahs that are similar in one, but the idea of the Kibbus B'gadim, that should be a separate mitzvah, and he stays with the question on the Ramban. So the Tchelis Mordechai, which is one of the Mefarshim in the Ramban, he says the Ramban himself answered the question. Because the Ramban said that what's the idea of Kibbus B'gadim? The idea is it's considered to be as if the blood was not thrown yet, meaning there was no zrika yet. So this is one of the halachas that have to do with the karbanis. It's not a separate thing. It's not a standalone thing. It's part of the ma'aseh karbanis. That's what the Ramban is telling us. And because it's part of the ma'aseh karbanis, is how you treat the korban. What do you do with the blood of the korban? So it's not a separate mitzvah. And this is what the son of the Rebbe Yehuda points out. He says that's the reason the mokom kodesh means the Azarah, because the blood is considered to be as if it was not nizrak, so it cannot go out of the Azarah. That's the idea. That's the source of this concept. How do we know mokom kodesh is the Azarah? Is based on this Ramban. And this sheds light a little bit on the inyanim that we're oisek in these dapim, which is the kibbus b'gadim and the shvira of the kli cheres and the washing that we have on the kli nechoshes that we have with dam Chatos. That it's not just a standalone thing, dam Chatos, by the way, when after you did it, it could cause these issues. But this is part of the treatment that you treat the dam Chatos. Meaning the blood of the korban has different things that it has, different elements, different halachas. These are part of the halachas of the korban before the korban is ever even done. That's part of how you treat, how you do the ma'aser karbanis, is how this blood has an effect. And you can connect it here what the Ramah and the Sefer Torah Sa'ilo comes to give us reasoning for many of Inyonia Karbonis. So he explains what's the idea that Dam Chatos requires Kibbus. Because when Chatos is connected about Tshuva, someone can do Tshuva, he did a Chet, and he's coming to bring a korban to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The blood of the Chatos is in a higher place than other bloods. And that blood affects and does Gedusha. It goes into a beged, you have to do Kibbus. And if it goes into a Kli, you have to cleanse it. Because the Gedusha remains, because it's the Dam of Chatos representing the Baal Tshuva. Connecting that to the Ramban, the idea is that the blood always remains in that Gedusha when it's treated as a Baal Tshuva. Anyone who wants to join or sponsor the Shomach Shava Shiurim, please email shomachshava@gmail.com.